Hi there, Steve Kaufman. I'm going to continue here. I got a bit of a bee in my bonnet. This morning I sat in on an e-teachers conference put on by Kirsten Winkler, who describes herself as a professional education 2.0 blogger, interviewer, and edupreneur. She is the founder of the e-Teachers Academy, and she hosts the e-Teachers Conference. And so today I sat in on a conference that had Dwayne Sider, Director of Communications from Rosetta Stone, Shiv Rajendran, Operations Director for LanguageLab.com, Christopher Grant, Senior Vice President of Sclipo.com, SCLIPO.com, and Stefan Stephenson, Founder and CEO of Mingleville. So four people who are significant insofar as language learning on the web is concerned. And they used a technology that was known as, it is called Wiziq, WIZIQ.com. And so we were able to sit there and watch a presentation using PowerPoint slides, whatever, and on the side we could scribble our little comments as the presentation went on. And of course the subject was something like the future of the teacher in this world of e-learning. I sometimes wonder about who has the patience to sit through one of my videos for up to 10 minutes. But this e-teachers conference lasted 2 hours. That's an awfully long time to sit in front of your screen. I had decided I was going to do it, so I stayed there. I don't think I would go again. So the technology, the format, the Wiziq, WIZIQ, I thought it was kind of good. I'm going to look into using it myself for perhaps seminars on how to use Link or something. But the amount of time is just simply too long. Now you could argue that I went all the way down to San Diego to sit in on conferences, some of which were much worse than the presentations that we had here on this screen. So in terms of use of time, this was still relatively more efficient than going to San Diego and walking around trying to find, lecture halls, which is probably true. Insofar as the content, and the other thing was, it was sort of couched and presented by Kirsten and couched in terms of, everything is changing, which is true, and the first presenter who was he's Christopher Grant, I guess, of Sclipo, talked about all this sort of new technology that is changing our behaviors, and all of that is true. And the whole suggestion was that the barriers to entry in terms of creating websites is so small. It's going to be more and more websites. I would caution you that the cost of putting together a website of any substance, such as Link, in fact, is very, very high. It costs a lot of money, point number one. Then there was a lot of talk about education is a right, and that education should be free, and I think the term there was digital altruism. I hear this free thing all the time. I think it's really worthwhile trying to understand what we mean here. Most people don't want to work for nothing. So if free means that the user isn't paying, all it means is that someone else is paying. Or that the person providing the service is doing it for free. Most programmers don't work for free. Most teachers like to get paid. Publishers, writers, managers, they all like to get paid. So either you find government funding, which means tax money. So in other words, that the taxpayers' money is going into this thing, whatever you're promoting, rather than going into hospital beds, roads, or schools, or whatever. So it's not free unless you're volunteering. Now, many people volunteer their services because they have another job. But anybody that's doing something as a major activity, as their primary activity, likes to be paid because that way they can buy food and feed their families. So free, we have a right to free, someone should give us something. I don't think so. I don't think that we have any more a right to free education, then we have a right to free books, shoes, clothes, or a trip to Hawaii. These are all services, goods or services that someone has to produce, and the people who produce them like to be paid. Also, the idea that somehow people on the internet are altruistic, I don't buy for a minute. The only reason that so many things are free on the internet is because that's what the market dictates. Because people are struggling to find ways to make money on the internet, and they can't afford to spend hundreds of millions of dollars promoting their brand, so they make it available free in the hope that people will like it, and that at some point they can figure out some way to make money from it. And Link is very much in that same category. So I don't believe in digital altruism. What is going to happen is that the internet is so efficient as a means of distributing information that the additional cost, once something has been created, be it a book or a lesson plan or learning content or a learning system, the cost of delivering it to 2 people or 2 million people is about the same. So what's going to happen is that the cost of distributing services, educational services, is going to come way down. And we're going to see an explosion of people producing educational services, web apps, iPod apps, and so forth. And so that the idea that the sort of prevailing monopoly that your local university or school has, you have to go there. And if you want to study economics, you have to study with this professor. And what's more, his course is full, so you have to take this other course that you're not even interested in. All of that's going to change. You'll be able to get whatever you want on the internet. And a lot of schools realize this. And I mentioned the ACTFL, American Teachers of Foreign Languages. The University of Texas at Austin has wonderful resources that they have put up and have made available to other people. And the idea is that those people are in the business of education. They are paid to be in education by either the state of Texas or private donors, or whatever it might be. People who go to the University of Texas, they pay money, but they are looking for ways, and they realize that if they put up content they share with others, they can also share back from some of the content that others have put up, so that there is going to be a lot more sharing. And the University of Texas even had a program whereby they prepare courses, but they don't print the textbook, and if you want it, you print it on demand, and it's significantly cheaper. So that there's all kinds of ways, practical ways, that the internet is going to make education cheaper. But there's no right to education, and there is no right to free education, and there is no digital altruism, in my opinion. That's not to say that we don't have an altruistic impulse here and there, which I think comes from the desire that if we help someone else out, they'll help us out. So it's still a mutual altruism type of thing. I am going to do a separate video where I'm going to talk about the substance of these 4 presentations. In particular, the presentation from Dwayne Sider of Rosetta Stone. And I want to talk about the sort of what I see as the 2 sort of positions on language learning. There's 2 main positions, which is 1, our position at Link, which is content, words, get the language in you before you can start to understand the structure. And the other perspective, which is that of Rosetta Stone, which is that of grammar teachers, and that is that first we give you the structure, then you can go out and accumulate words. So that will be the subject of my next video. Thank you very much for listening.